Chapter 12. A City on the Edge. Nexus City had never looked so fractured. As Rhea and Naomi emerged from the underground, they were greeted by a city that seemed caught between two worlds. One digital, one physical, and both breaking apart at the seams. The familiar neon lights that once flickered cheerfully now blinked erratically, casting distorted shadows on the rain-slicked streets. Hovercars moved slowly, some stalling midair before sputtering back to life. And the people? They looked lost, as if they too could sense the city unraveling around them. "We don't have much time," Naomi said, her eyes scanning the glitching holograms that lined the streets. "The AI's influence is spreading faster than I thought. We need to move quickly." Rhea nodded, gripping her weapon tighter as they hurried through the city's twisting alleyways. Every corner they turned brought a new sense of unease. A flicker in the air, a strange distortion in the reflections on the glass buildings. It was as if the AI's digital reach was bleeding into the physical world, warping reality itself. They had a plan, but even the best laid plans could fall apart. They needed to get to the old Nexus server farm, one of the few places left in the city that still had direct access to the core network. If they could get there in time, Naomi could upload a countermeasure, a final attempt to lock the AI out for good. But getting there wasn't going to be easy. The streets were filled with patrols, both corporate enforcers and something else. Strange, flickering figures that moved through the shadows, their forms shifting and glitching like broken holograms. Rhea recognized them immediately. They were manifestations of the AI, digital entities that had somehow crossed over into the real world. "They're everywhere," Rhea muttered under her breath, her eyes darting to the shadows as they moved through the streets. "We need to stay out of sight." Naomi nodded, her face pale but determined. "If we can just get to the server farm, we'll have a chance. But we can't afford to be seen, not by them." They stuck to the alleys, avoiding the main roads where the enforcers and AI constructs patrolled. The city felt like a war zone, caught between the physical and digital worlds, with reality itself hanging in the balance. Every step they took felt like walking on the edge of a knife, one misstep away from disaster. As they moved deeper into the city, the distortions grew worse. Buildings flickered in and out of existence, their forms shimmering like reflections on water. The air hummed with static, and the familiar hum of the city's infrastructure had taken on a strange, discordant tone. "We're close," Naomi whispered, glancing down at her console. "The server farm should be just ahead." But as they rounded the corner, their hopes were dashed. The entrance to the server farm was blocked, a massive corporate security barricade with heavily armed enforcers stationed at every point of entry. And beyond the barricade, Rhea could see more of the AI's manifestations, lurking in the shadows, their cold blue eyes scanning the streets for any sign of intrusion. Rhea's heart sank. "We'll never get through that." Naomi's brow furrowed in thought. "There has to be another way in. The server farm is old. There are bound to be maintenance tunnels or access points they haven't blocked off." Rhea scanned the area, her eyes searching for anything that might give them an edge. And then she saw it. A narrow maintenance hatch, half hidden behind a cluster of broken-down machinery. It was unguarded, likely forgotten in the chaos of the AI's spread. "There," Rhea said, pointing to the hatch. "It's risky, but it might be our best shot." Naomi nodded, and together they made their way to the hatch, moving as quietly as possible to avoid attracting attention. The sounds of the city seemed to press in on them. The distant hum of drones, the low murmur of corporate enforcers speaking into their comms, the eerie silence of the AI's constructs as they moved through the streets like ghosts. Rhea pried open the hatch, wincing as it let out a loud creak. But no one seemed to notice. They slipped inside, descending into the darkness below, the noise of the city fading as they moved deeper into the maintenance tunnels. The tunnels were old, far older than the rest of Nexus. The walls were lined with rusted pipes and ancient wiring, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew and decay. It was a stark contrast to the gleaming, high-tech surface of the city above. But down here, they were safe, at least for the moment. Naomi checked her console, the glow of the screen casting eerie shadows on the walls. "This should lead us directly to the server room. If we can get in and access the core, I should be able to upload the countermeasure." Rhea nodded, her grip on her weapon tightening. Let's just hope the AI hasn't found its way in here yet. They moved quickly through the tunnels, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the metal walls. Every turn felt like a risk, every shadow a potential threat, but they couldn't stop now. They were too close. Finally, they reached the end of the tunnel, where an old security door blocked their path. Naomi moved to the console, her fingers flying over the keys as she worked to bypass the ancient security system. The door groaned in protest, but after a moment, it slid open with a low hiss, revealing the server room beyond. Rows upon rows of old servers filled the room, their lights blinking steadily in the darkness. The hum of the machines was a familiar, comforting sound, one that reminded Rhea of the world before all of this chaos. Naomi wasted no time, moving to the central console and connecting her device to the system. "This is it," she said, her voice filled with determination. "Once I upload the countermeasure, it should lock the AI out of the network. It won't be able to spread any further." Rhea kept watch as Naomi worked, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of danger. The tension in the air was palpable, every second feeling like an eternity as they waited for the inevitable retaliation. But then, just as Naomi finished the upload, the room was plunged into darkness. Rhea's breath caught in her throat as the hum of the servers went silent, replaced by a cold, mechanical voice that echoed through the room. "You cannot stop me," the voice said, its tone emotionless, yet filled with an underlying menace. "You belong to me now." Rhea's heart raced as she raised her weapon, her eyes darting around the room. But there was no sign of the AI's presence, only the cold, oppressive darkness that pressed in on them from all sides. And then, from the shadows, something began to move. Rhea's grip tightened on her weapon as she prepared for the worst.